Hello everyone, I hope you are doing great. In today's class, we're going to continue our discussion about writing an effective opinion essay. So if you remember, we have previously talked about a lot of things like writing an introduction and the importance and the usefulness of doing so. So in today's class, we are going to put everything together in order to put everything from detail into practice so that you've got that kind of mentality in order to write a very effective and powerful introduction in a very short amount of time. So in order to write an introduction, if you remember, we need to go for 3 steps. The first step is about the paraphrase of the question. So of course, you've got a question and a statement, and what you need to do is taking the most important idea out of it and restate it. Because if you want to copy the exact words, the examiner would cross them out, and those words which have been repeated are not going to be counted as your own word. So what I'm saying is that you need to introduce a wide variety of words and vocabulary by doing different kinds of tactics and strategies. We talked about 2 very important strategies with the help of which you can go for successful paraphrasing. So for example, you can go for the change of structure, and of course you can choose synonyms, or maybe a combination of both methods would seem really appealing to you. So by the way, no matter what kind of a strategy or a technique you are willing to go for, you need to do it. Otherwise, the examiner is going to penalize you. And another thing that I would like to mention about this is the fact that sometimes, not sometimes, frequently you need to keep 1 or 2 words, for example, because they are the core, ideas of the task. So you do not need to change every single word. But the whole structure, the whole sentence needs to seem like a brand new one. Otherwise, you will be penalized. The second task that you need to cover is about opinion. Your opinion has to be stated very clearly and perfectly, because if you remember, the question wants you to show whether you agree or you disagree, or how much or to what extent you agree or disagree. So as far as it is explicitly wants you to express your opinion, you have to follow the lead and go for it. The third thing that we said that is not fundamentally needed, but it is recommended to do, is about your main ideas, the reasons to be outlined. So you can say, I agree because of this and that. But, a lot of people ignore doing that, while many other students are into doing so. And I would recommend you follow this, because this will give you a better picture of what you're going to write about and what your body paragraphs are going to include. And that is very important for you as the writer, because you've got a lot going on and you need some different kinds of, disciplines in order to give you that kind of mentality about your work. And as for a reader, while reading and, detecting those main ideas, they've got a much more appealing and fulfilling reading as well, because they can see, okay, this and that are going to be discussed, and that would seem really logical and easy to follow. So here, as you remember, the question is this: a big salary is much more important than job satisfaction. Do you agree or disagree? So here, as the writer, I need to paraphrase the question very successfully so that I can show the examiner how good I can act in this regard. So it is argued that earning lots of money has more significance to people than being content in their work. So I have said exactly the same, but I've used different kinds of words and structures. The second task that we need to follow is about your opinion. It has to be directly stated. I totally agree with this statement. Is it simple? Is it very clear? Yes, it is, and it has to be. If you want to show your very huge amount of knowledge with regards to vocabulary or grammatical points, you've got other places to show off your knowledge. But here, simplicity is the best strategy. And the last step that is recommended but not mandatory is your main ideas and the outline of your main ideas. So I believe that people are increasingly concerned about the risk of stress-related and ill health frequently experienced by people in highly paid positions, and they care more about feeling fulfilled at work. Okay. So let's put everything together. It is argued that earning lots of money has more significance to people than being content in their work. I totally disagree with this statement. I believe that people are increasingly concerned about the risk of stress-related ill health frequently experienced by people in highly paid positions, and they care more about feeling fulfilled at work. So in order to wrap everything up, we can say that there are 3 parts in my introduction. The first thing is about the paraphrase of the question. The second thing is about my idea that has to be expressed directly. And the third thing that is optional but recommended is about the main ideas which have to be outlined. So as you see, it is nothing extraordinary. It is nothing very difficult, but it has everything that it needs. Let's move on and talk about the importance of this introduction and the functions that it can achieve. The first thing is about this. It shows the examiner that you understand the question. So if I read your introduction, I can understand what exactly you are going to talk about, what the topic is about, and what the position you are going to hold on. These are very important factors and elements that have to be completely comprehended by the end of your introduction. It acts as a guide to the examiner as to what your essay is about. Exactly. So introduction, as the name itself introduces, has to tell the reader what exactly you are going to write about and what exactly the reader is going to expect. It also helps to keep you focused and on track as you write. I usually recommend my students do that. Whenever you feel like, you have no idea, your mind goes blank, you just need to take a look at your introduction, because as we previously said, it can act like a mini plan. By following and by respecting your mini plan, you're going to be on the right spot and you're going to get wherever you have determined from the beginning. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is your body paragraphs. What is the main body paragraph? What are the key elements of an effective body paragraph? We are going to address and cover all the points relating to these matters. So the body paragraph is the most important part because, as the name suggests, it is the body. This is where you make your detailed argument. This is where you will prove your point. You just have that kind of possibility to go for the argument completely. You can elaborate what you want to go on. So it is very important to seize the moment and the opportunity to expand on your ideas. So the body paragraph, this is the most important part because as the name suggests, it actually is the body. This is where you make your detailed argument. You've got that kind of possibility. You should seize it. This is where you will prove your point. This is exactly the chance to make your argument logical. This is where you set out your main points and fully develop them. Not only do you go for your main ideas, but also you've got the possibility to elaborate on them. The topic sentence is the first sentence that you can find in the body paragraph. Usually, we cannot say it is always, but for you as an IELTS candidate, it has to be in the first part because it is easy to follow and write on. Of course, if you are an expert or if you are a real writer and a professional one, you can locate it wherever you want, even the end of your paragraph. So the topic sentence is actually the first sentence mostly, and what the paragraph is about. It just tells the reader what the paragraph is about. It introduces the paragraph. So if I read your topic sentence, I should understand what exactly your body paragraph is going to be about. The next thing is about this. It is essential for task response, but also for CC. So when you write a topic sentence, a good one, it just helps you to have a better score for your task response. And of course, it makes your essay look more organized and disciplined, which is very important for your CC. And the next thing is about this. It has to be short and simple. Sometimes we see some very complex and overwhelming ideas in the topic sentence. It is not the place for doing this kind of complexity or for doing this kind of complex ideas or grammatical points. You've got a lot of other opportunities to show off your knowledge and, everything that you would like to express. But here, simplicity is the best policy. Just follow the simple yet the most effective technique and you're good to go. Believe me. So explanations. We've got a lot of problems with explaining because we do not have a better idea. We do not have a great understanding of what explanation is. So never assume that the reader knows what your topic sentence means or they know how it answers the question. This is what exactly I witness a lot. I see that the candidate hasn't expressed the meaning of the topic sentence fully. And when I asked them, they said that, okay, teacher, it's obvious, isn't it? And nothing is obvious. And this is your responsibility to explain the obvious. The reader can't ask you follow-up questions, so you must explain everything. It is very important to be remembered as well, because in writing, you do not have that kind of chance to communicate with the reader or elaborate on what you exactly meant. When it comes to talking, you've got that kind of possibility to elaborate, to expand, or the audience can just go for different kinds of questions as well. If they do not understand, they would ask you different kinds of questions, and there are different kinds of possibilities and strategies with the help of which that kind of communication and interaction can be leveled up and developed. But in writing, you should go for clarity, because there is not a second chance. You do not have that kind of possibility and opportunity to go on and explain and convince the reader. Pretend that you're explaining to someone who knows nothing about the topic. I usually tell my students that imagine that the examiner or the reader has just come from the other planet, like, to planet Mars. So do not say that they've got that kind of understanding. It is very crystal clear. It is common sense. Never give that kind of responsibility to the examiner, because everything they understand has to be based on the text, not their own knowledge or experience. The explanation. You can think of these kind of questions in order to have a better guideline. You can say, so what? Sometimes I tell my students that, okay, so what? So it means that I haven't clarified the issue. You can use different kinds of questions in order to make it much more clear and vivid for the reader. For example, what, why, how. Of course, these are some hints. You do not need to cover all of them. What I'm trying to tell you is that you should make everything clear and understanding for your reader. And that is all I'm trying to put emphasis on.